listening to Discussion with Miss Jenkins live
on Hot101.net,
the source for new information
and knowledge.
Yeah. Dun, 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 Hi everyone, you are listening to Discussions with Miss Jenkins, and today we are going to touch upon several topics that are very imperative to discuss. We're going to talk about some concerns that I came across regarding the consumption of milk. We're also going to discuss, of course, as you know, positivity, as well as some things that have happened locally in the Lehigh Valley area that has brought some great sadness and concerns as far as the safety of individuals that have been, murdered by people they know. So I definitely want to get the conversation started, and you know how we do. Let's talk about it. So most importantly, we'll start off on a positive note, and it's going to be about positivity. I wanted to share with everyone a book that I actually came across, and it was written by Napoleon Hill, who was the author of Think and Grow Rich. I know a lot of people are familiar with that book, Think and Grow Rich, and it has significantly changed the mindset of so many individuals and allowed them to become and recognize and have self-discovery within themselves that they have the capability to think and grow rich if they just apply some essential keys that can help them along their journey to being very successful. But another book that I came across I thought would be really enlightening to share was also co-written with another gentleman. His name is W. Clement Stone, and the book is called Success Through Positive Mental Attitude. And a book like that is just right up my alley. And I actually found a free download online. So if anyone is interested, what I could perhaps do is see if I can share the link on Discussion with Ms. Jenkins' Facebook page. If anyone is really interested in gathering more information about this book as to where to get it, please email me at wetalkaboutit@gmail.com. And some of the content is really, really interesting. Like one of the parts is where does the road to achievement begin? I know a lot of people are out there and they're not certain how to begin or where to start their journey to positivity. A lot of times it's environment that sets the tone for which direction you're actually going in. But if you truly, truly, really want to work toward getting positive and getting on the right path, the most important thing is to just do it. Leaders are abrupt decision makers. It's really not rocket science. Either you want to do it or either you don't. And you can't let your mental attitude hinder you from things that you are destined to do. Because the only person that you can hold accountable really is yourself. Another piece in the book that I thought was really interesting as well was you can change the world. And I'm a great believer that you can change the world. And how do I know that this is possible? I know that this is possible because the way you think guides you to where you're going. So if you're thinking negatively, the only thing that can happen is the output that's going out from within you is definitely going to be negative. If you think you're going to have a bad day, well, guess what? You're going to have a bad day. If you think you're not going to get that promotion, well, guess what? Your heart's not in the direction of getting that promotion. So you know what? It's out the window. And it was all in your own doing. It's all under your control. All right? So if you want to change your situation, you have to constantly exercise your thoughts, because if you don't exercise your thoughts, then you can't open up the vault and you'll only find faults. Trust me, I know. When I start getting that little bit of doubt in the equation, which is an invasion, you know what? I have to just get quiet. I have to regroup and refocus. What am I destined to do? What is my purpose? And a lot of times I show up on purpose in people's lives for a purpose. It's not really sometimes what you want to do, but maybe you're the only individual that can get it done. And so you have to prepare yourself. You have to be ready and just go do it. Clear the cobwebs from your thinking. So many people, including myself, I've done this. I do this at times because we're human. And I go back to the past, and you know what happens? Boom, I go right down a terrible furnace of nonsense. I gravitate to individuals that are not positive. It's just a tangled web. It is a tangled web. I go back down memory lane, what could have been, what should have been. And guess what? I wasn't in the right state. I wasn't ready. You know, I wasn't at that age of maturity to be able to function, to think outside the box, to want to gravitate in that direction. So guess what? Your past is your past. The only thing that you can really do from your past is embrace the mistakes, because mistakes can be great, you know, and turn the negative into a positive, as difficult it may be, but guess what? It can be done. So please, this book is Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude. Has a lot of great, inspiring chapters that you would just fall in love with. You know, one of the chapters is, will you dare to explore the powers of your mind? So many people are out there being controlled by what? Fear. Oh yeah, fear. And what happens when you have fear, you can't focus, you don't evolve, you don't assess, and you don't reason when you have fear. A lot of times people are out there and they make sense of fear. They make sense of why they can't get something done. They make sense of why something won't work. I mean, immediately pessimistic. They'll tell you, you know what, I don't think you're going to be able to do that. Oh, I don't think that's possible. Well, I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news. When you want to know something, I think it's great to listen to people and their ideas and their suggestions and their opinions. I mean, hey, this is a free world. Say whatever you will. But at the end of the day, nobody's opinion dictates the truth about you. Remember that. Nobody's opinion dictates the truth about you. So please, take note. If you get an opportunity, just go on Google. Google got some great things, but you know, with the internet, you have to have filters, you know, truth, lies, and consistency. But definitely doesn't hurt to take a look. Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude. And this is by Napoleon Hill, who's the great author of Think and Grow Rich, of course, who was a multi-gazillionaire, of course. And so many wonderful things have come from Napoleon Hill, and also the co-writer, which is W. Clement Stone. All right, so please, you get an opportunity, I definitely encourage you to take note of that positive read. It can only aid in you on your journey to a more successful and productive path. So, what's going on? What's going on in the world? Let's talk about Black Friday. You know, we have so many traditions here in America, and it's just interesting to me how many of us truly participate in events that we really don't have any instructions on how to participate. We just go with the flow because this is something that has been done throughout our entire life. You know, our families, our parents have taught us, and our grandparents have taught us. They taught us more about American traditions and culture than they have ever talked about our whole ancestry or the reasons for our being or our existence. They never really want to associate us with the richness that Africa has to that Africa has for us. You know, it's nothing to be ashamed about knowing more about your heritage. You know, and I'm a great believer, and I'm really appreciative for my parents. Well, my mother actually, as well as my father, but my mother was just nosy. She was so nosy, and I mean, literally nosy in a way where it really encouraged and sparked the curiosity to want to know more about who you are. I mean, we had so many books, and I saw a beautiful video that's becoming viral on Facebook, and I thought it was just so positive because, you know, on Facebook, a lot of times information that's being spread, it's not always positive, it's not always productive. And it was a young lady, a young little girl. She was only in 3rd grade, and she was so enthusiastic about the power of books and free libraries and what it really meant to be able to get a book and share books with others. And one of her statements was, without books, it's like a car without gas. And she goes, without book, it's like a brain without knowledge. And she goes, without books, the world would be blank. And this little girl was so enthusiastic. It was so tremendous. It was such a great thing to witness on how she just shared her passion for books. And for myself, I grew up with so many books, and I grew up with individuals that read. Like, everybody in my family read, whether it was for gaining knowledge on a subject or if it was just for spiritual or whatever their religious purposes were. But it was something awesome to experience and to witness, and it was a positive reflection that filtered over into my life, as well as I'm filtering that over into my children's life as well. But the history of America is a deep, rich tragedy in many instances. And as much as we want to sing songs, land of the free and home of the brave, you know what? They got this land for free. They took this land from innocent civilians who were already here, like Indians. Much of the territory over there in California and Texas was Mexican Indian territories, as well as throughout the entire U.S. And if they tell you that blacks only came over here on slave ships, that's not so. Read a book and take a look on who's the crook and how we got hooked. Because if you don't, then you will keep on fostering the nonsense and the trickery and the shenanigans that is being spoon-fed to us. That's really being spoon-fed to us. So I want to shed a little light right now on Black Friday. Let's talk about this. Let's get the conversation started about Black Friday. So Black Friday was a slave auction, okay, in 1859. Let's get back to history. In 1859 was a slave auction. Early in March 1859, an enormous slave auction took place at the race course 3 miles outside Savannah, Georgia. Now, this information is coming from eyewitnesshistory.com, and there's a lot of other authors of stories that give elaborate detail about this era. But just to get the conversation started, it's like I have a flyer that I can actually share where it actually shows to be sold and let by the public auction. And this was as early as 1829, where slaves were being sold, and they actually used Black Friday as a day where they gave excessive discounts on slaves. So people would rally up, gather up, and continue to submit the humiliation and the degradation of human beings to purchase for sale. And some families could even be broken up, okay, and split amongst several different plantations. All right? Some of the slaves had never even been sold before, and most of them might have spent their lives, on a plantation for a particular family. But just the idea of how the preparation took place, or how they took these slaves and auctioned them off, and looked at the little girls, just the idea to know how they looked at little children, okay, how they looked at women, and how they just continue to humiliate, and this is just a mindset, and just the idea of knowing that these individuals want to give you religion. These individuals were fueled by their religion to have such anarchy and contempt for another life, for them to dictate on you not to be even more worthier than a horse. And this is really interesting. Now, of course, I'm not going to just give you the dark side of Black Friday, but it's really something that a lot of African Americans really need to start recognizing, how many situations has to occur or have occurred that we keep furnishing, with monetary value, and you just don't know the real value, the real cost to some of these things that were detrimental in our history, and how they still capitalize off of these things today based on our ignorance. Would you really run out there and look for a sale to boost up certain manufacturers' products and services, knowing that at one point you were a product and service, standing up there, being split from your husband and your children, and there was nothing you could do? Can you just imagine an auctioneer that was deeming a price for you and putting a price on you, on your body, on your spirit, on your soul? Some slaves were even sold as much as $35,000. Can you imagine the money that was being spent for sales of other human beings? So take a look. One of the references that you can look regarding the truth about Black Friday is the New York Daily Tribune, March 9th, 1859, that was printed, and it was told by the American History by contemporaries. They reprinted it by Albert B. Hart. So take a look. There's a lot of information that is out there, and once again, the reference was eyewitnesshistory.com, and I'll be more than happy to share that link with you. Let's keep the conversation going. So on Black Friday, there were demonstrations regarding Walmart. Now listen, we have these big these big retail chains like Walmart that really cut mom and pop shops right on out. Literally, they just snipped the local mom and pop stores right on out. It's difficult for them to compete. And Walmart and other entities like Kmart, these retailers try to position themselves as getting the greatest bargain and the greatest deal. But you know what? They're not customer service oriented. They really have no concern about you. We're just like zombies. You wake up in the middle of the night. Let me go to Walmart. I need some cookies. I need some ice cream. Let me get up and let me go to Walmart. And what happens is, what about the Walmart employees too? A lot of the manufacturing for Walmart products is done in China, and at the end of the day, America, the rate for America right now, the U.S. federal government requires a baseline hourly wage of $7.25, although the actual wage depends on each state. So some states may have more of a minimum wage, but the federal baseline is $7.25. So right now in the U.S., Walmart employees are striking and they're having demonstrations across the country targeting this retail giant to raise their pay. And it's people right now that are working 40 hours a week per year, and they're still not making $25,000 a year, and they're relying on supplementing their income. They have to supplement their income, whether it's medical care, food stamps, whatever. I'm not going to get into it right now, but this is just another reflection on that Obamacare, and that's another whole nother conversation. But as far as this discussion is concerned, why do people have to supplement their income, right? Why do we have to keep on furnishing individuals with supplementing their income and they have a job? Why can't the job be the resource to allow that these employees have a way to prosper in life? And if they are able to do that, there is so many companies out there that are employee conscientious, and that are concerned about their employees and that they value their employees. You know how much it costs to train a person not to stay at your business? It can run into the thousands to train a person to work at your company. Okay, before they even get started, before they actually put their time clock in, punch it in to really start working and being productive, you might have paid $6,000 just to train that individual. So then that individual then becomes dissatisfied with the work conditions, the work environment, with the work policies. And you know what? Who needs to change their position? Is it always the employee or is it the employer? So we have a lot of things that has to be taken in consideration, but Walmart had demonstrations that even working full time, they just can't make ends meet. Their hourly wage is significantly too low. This is ridiculous. The cost of so many things is going up, and up. People can't enjoy life. People are traumatized with poverty. You have to understand what this does to their internal organs. Just the idea, the visualization of them, just them seeing something traumatic totally changes their whole input. And then along with that, so many other elements come in place. Just worrying about money, just worrying about ends meet. And then just the nationwide disrespect of someone who's at a disadvantage. Think about this for a minute. Think about you have a job, but your job still can't suffice the amount that you have to pay for rent, the amount that you have to pay for utilities. Utilities are going up. It's like some people just feel like they're going to work for nothing. Walmart is one of the wealthiest families, okay? They have some of the largest, according to Forbes magazine, they are publicly listed as one of the largest, it's a family, the Walton family is one of the largest stockholders for Walmart. And they are wealthy. Do you understand me? These people are wealthy, $150 billion. What does that mean? Do you mean that you cannot give your employees $15 an hour? How much more money do these people really need? How many opportunities do they need to go out there and destroy nature by putting sand in the ocean to build tall story buildings just to be unique in the world? Like, how many things do they have to have opportunity to take advantage of to destroy? Like creating wars, going to third world impoverished countries and stealing their resources. Like, how can we keep assisting these businesses to be global empires, but yet they cannot value their employees here in the U.S.? But yet they'll take jobs and they'll give it over there to China. They'll give jobs over there to India. And they say that outsourcing is okay. No, it's really not okay. Because look at the companies as a whole on how many billions they're making. Just because you're creating thousands of jobs where people are making $7.25 an hour, are you serious? When they're dealing with major manufacturers, especially in the cellular industry, that's a whole nother entity of its own. But look at the millions of dollars that they're making just for supporting products like Panasonic, Mitsubishi, not Mitsubishi, Panasonic, you got Samsung's, all kind of products, LG's, all kind of Fortune 500 companies that are making gazillion-dollar products that are sitting on Walmart shelves. And you can't afford to pay somebody $15 an hour. I think it's ridiculous. People cannot even afford to keep their vehicles going. They cannot afford to keep their utilities paid. It's just sad. It's very, very sad. So, do you not agree? If so, let's get the conversation started on Discussion with Ms. Jenkins FB page. Hit me up at wetalkabout@gmail.com. Let's get the conversation started about this. Does Walmart employees deserve to have decent wages? Do they? Do they, deserve to be able to make a statement in their communities and in their and enhance their lives and become more prosperous? Walmart has about 1.4 million employees, and they're going to stay away from work and they're going to protest, and they sure did. They protest on Black Friday, and I give them credit because a lot of companies are out there, based on the economic difficulties that we're having right now in the U.S. A lot of people are afraid about losing their jobs. They really are afraid. They don't want to lose their jobs. They don't want to do anything that's going to hinder their relationships with their employers. They really don't. They're very afraid. They don't want to put a bad taste in their employer's mouth. And it's just another situation to me of just another facet of the manufacturing of human beings, just in a different sense. Black Friday really creates a big buzz on generating excessive revenue at the end of the year. And along the lines with this discussion, as I mentioned, the slavery auctions in 1859 and even earlier, what I really want to mention is how society looks at Black Friday today. They look at it from a business perspective where they actually look at it as an opportunity to increase sales. By the end of the year, a lot of businesses' books, from an accounting perspective, their books are in the red. And they want to change that ink from red ink to black ink, which shows that they have an increase, or where they just have a good standing financially and not as detrimental as they was previous to increasing sales and generating some additional income before the end of the year. So it's really an opportunity for businesses to kind of flourish and nourish the books, so to speak, so that they have a better opportunity of closing out more successful by the end of the year. So I just wanted to shed some light on that, because a lot of companies, of course, want to disassociate themselves with that black history, I would want to say. They don't want to associate themselves with that, but it's just something very important. And this content that I just reviewed came from Al Jazeera, which is a great overseas. It covers a lot of things in Africa, in the Americas, Asian Pacific, and all around the world. And I love to look at other journalists and other individuals who put out stories that have more concrete evidence of something that is happening, where it's not scripted. Because we have a lot of scripted media here in the U.S. Wow. Interesting. Just so many things out there that are just so interesting. So, as you know, discussion with Ms. Jenkins just keeps the discussions going. But what we can do is just take a moment while I set up for our next segment. And it's a segment that we're going to just discuss some theories about a murderer, the mind of a killer. In the last few weeks, there has been some serious events where people have been beheaded, people are murdered recklessly, unconscionable behavior. I just can't fathom some of the things that is happening in the world, but it is happening. And one of the things that we have to open up our eyes to is that something very powerful that lies within us, and it's so powerful, it's so potent, and it's to be able to control our mind, to utilize our mind so that we're not behind, to open up our eyes and see things that you wouldn't really see with imagery. Sometimes we have to open our eyes by closing them and going deep within ourselves to recognize a voice. And it's a voice of freedom. It's a voice of choice. And we really have a catalog of so many answers. But right now, there's so many entities that are out there to inhibit us from using that power of control, the power of controlling our mind. And a lot of it has to do with the food consumption, the water that we're drinking. A lot of the beverages that are on the market are really supplying and fueling the behaviors, the nonsense that we see furnishing outward. A lot of things are happening that we would think that, oh my goodness, this is common, but it's not common. It's very strategic to alter a person's psychological ability to focus and to function and to be productive. They have a lot of things that are out there that can literally take a sound-minded individual who's productive in society and the most upstanding individual that they can be, and wow, all of a sudden they just freaked out or something happened, and you think, oh my goodness, I would never imagine that person do such a thing. But it's happening, and there's a lot of things that are leading and giving evidence on what are the contributors. Could it be vaccination shots? Okay, that's something that people commonly go and they get vaccinations, and it goes right in your bloodstream. But these are powerful chemicals. These are things that you don't really see what's on that valve that they're injecting in your vein. You don't see the actual ingredients. You just have a person who is certified medical practitioner who's coming to you and saying, trust me with your veins, trust me with your health. But remember, medical practitioners, that's all they are. They just practice. Doesn't mean that they are fully experts. They practice on human beings. So let's go ahead and take a little moment here while I prepare for that discussion, the mind of a killer. All right, so just keep up with Discussing with Ms. Jenkins. I'm not going nowhere. I'm just going to get a little more music going, break up some of the good old stuff. So let's go.